Now it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Clint.
It is amazing to be with you all tonight. We Defy is something I've been proud of. We Defy is something that has been legendary for me since its inception. Since I stalked this gentleman named Alan Shabaro up to his gym in McKinney, and because I needed to be in a company who, I got to be around people who get what I don't know how to say. Until I figured out I don't have to say it anymore. And for those few hours sitting in Alan's office when I'm sure he had other things to do, I found a guy who got what I didn't know how to say. And in his elegant, short-worded ways, he reminded me a lot about myself. And he blesses me and humbles me by telling me I reminded him of the same, and I treasure that friendship, and I treasure those 3 hours, and I look at all you've done and all you continue to do, a man that is worth his time. You know, I think most of life comes down to the questions we ask ourselves and the questions we answer. I mean, that's really what it is. You know, where am I? Who am I? Am I still in the fight? You know, these are questions, we get asked questions all the time. We get asked questions, the questions we ask ourselves. There's questions others ask us. I don't know about you, one of the questions I get asked often because of my background, I'm in a room full of a bunch of people, I'm with a football team or a company, and one of the questions I always get asked is hey, what's your favorite gun? It's a natural question, there's nothing wrong with it, but I always pivot off it and I slow down, especially with those young men and women in the room, and I go, hey, are you asking me what my favorite gun is or what my favorite weapon is? And the crowd will begin to kind of cleave into it that moment. And sometimes the younger someone is, the quicker they go, it's the same thing. But the older people are, the more wise and seasoned and scarred the people are. They kind of intuitively know there's a difference. And I lean in and I look at the young men. I go, listen, son, a gun is a tool. A weapon is what I use to win. My favorite weapon is a map. Because if I have a map, I have everything. If I have a map, I know where the bad guy will be. I know where I'll come in, what to bring, what to leave, how to get home. And if we have a map, the worst we'll ever be is wrong. But we won't be lost. And wrong and lost are different animals. I've been both. I've been wrong. I've been lost. I was an officer, land nav. It just happens. Like, hey, where's the sir? Someone was supposed to have the sir.
One more hill, sir.
One more hill. Shut your face. Yeah. I say that lovingly. Being wrong and being lost are different animals. I've been both. And I hate being lost. Being lost is terrifying, it's paralytic. Because when you're lost, any move could be wrong. But if you're wrong, it's just a matter of realizing it. Remembering where you said you wanted to go. Availing yourself to the wisdom of those who've been where you say you want to go, or those who are there now, and the camaraderie of those who want to get there as badly as you do, and then you just got to do the work. It always comes down to the work. And kind of when I describe my life biographically, I use these 4 maps, and they're just my maps, and everyone has their own versions of these. These aren't right or wrong. This is just me. When I describe my life, I've lived on the ball field, the battlefield, the boardroom, and the breakfast table. You know, literally, I've lived on those, on the ball field as an athlete, you know, growing up here in South Garland, playing football at the Naval Academy, playing in the NFL. Like I said, I played for the Baltimore Ravens. No one knows that because I played the same position as Ray Lewis. He's pretty good. I remember being in practice one day going, it might be easier to become a Navy SEAL than to beat out Ray Lewis. And it was, so I did. But now the ball field is kind of how I try to take care of myself mentally and physically so I can perform at a high level for the number of days God allows me. The battlefield describes my seasoned life as a member of the SEAL teams. I love being in the SEAL teams, but I also recognize the SEAL teams is just one finger on a fist, on an arm, on a body that is the entire national security apparatus. We're part of it, but we need our partners. And I love the branches and the units that are part of this as well. It takes all of us to do these things. The boardroom is kind of where I provide for myself and those entrusted me. And the breakfast table is the most important map. It's where my bride and I build a family that loves us and that matters to others. And I think all of life is about having exes worth going to and people worth going with. And then you just got to do the work. And I will confess to you freely and unashamedly that the most lost I've ever been in my entire life was when I left the ball field and the battlefield and came to the boardroom to try to build this breakfast table with my bride. It's the most lost I've ever been. Because I'm obsessed with the high ground. The high ground is kind of where you always want to be. On the ball field, in the battlefield, you always know where the high ground is. The high ground is the place of greatest advantage, of greatest perspective, and you're in the company of the same kind of people on the high ground because it's hard to get to the high ground, and it's hard to stay at the high ground. And my whole life had been about getting to the high ground and staying there. And when I left the ball field in the battlefield, I didn't know where the high ground was anymore, and I didn't know how to get there. And I was lost for maybe the first time ever. But shortly after the conversation that Al and I had and the conversation I had with others, I kind of stumbled on and kind of remembered what it's like to get to the border. Like, how do we get to the high ground? The way you get to the high ground is the same everywhere. You just find and follow the right people to the right places. You become your version, what you love about them. Most of our life is going to come down to the questions we ask ourselves and the answers we have for the questions that people ask us. And this is the beauty and the gift and the gold that is We Defy. Those questions I asked at the very beginning: where am I? Who am I? Am I still in the fight? Those are the questions you ask yourself on the other side of those moments we've all had. Maybe it was an explosion, an IED, a bomb, a bad jump, a getting shot, a getting choked out, all these other things. As we start coming to and start realizing that we're still here, those are the questions we ask ourselves. Where am I? Who am I? Am I still in the fight? And the gift that We Defy gives people is answers to those three questions. On the other side of a moment where we didn't know we'd have another breath, and all of a sudden we have this breath, and then stewarding that breath becomes the biggest thing. Shame is the shovel that Satan will use to bury us. And when you buried men and women that you love, and many of us, we think they're better than us, but when we're alive and they're not, we start asking ourselves if we're worth our time. But I promise you this, the worst thing we could ever do is not use the time that we've been given that those we love no longer have. We must steward that time, and We Defy brings men and women back to life again. It lets them answer those questions. Who am I? Where am I? I'm on a mat. I'm on the most primal place a man or woman can find themselves. I'm on a place where only the truth is here. Only the truth is here. I love things that tell us the truth. And the more talented you are, the more you need people that will tell you the truth, because the world will tell a man or woman anything they want to hear. The world does not seek extraordinary. The world loves average. The world loves equilibrium. And it'll tell us anything we want to hear to make itself feel better about itself, but the mat doesn't. The mat tells you the truth. Where am I? I'm on one of the most honest places in the world. And I'm going to learn truth. And if I want to listen to these hard things, that the truth's always going to tell me. Who am I? I'm one part of a pair seeking truth. However my body works, whatever body I was issued, however I had to recalibrate this is the partner. I am the partner in this truth-seeking pair. We're going to measure ourselves against each other, and we're going to use ever-increasing techniques and skills, and we're going to bond in a way that sometimes only pain can allow us to. I know where I am. When I'm on the mat, I know who I am. And the most beautiful question that We Defy answers is, am I still in the fight? Literally. You know that to be true on the other side of a session. You know you're still in the fight because you just got done doing it. And there's someone who loves you who 30 seconds before didn't feel like they loved you. But sometimes love doesn't feel like love. And when love doesn't feel like love, it's often the best love of all, because it's the love of truth. We Defy gives men and women the gift of knowing where they are again, knowing who they are again, and reminding them that they're not done yet. What a gift that is. What a way to answer hard questions. And these are questions life asks us when we're not ready for them, and we didn't want them in the first place, but life asks us questions on the other side of an IED. Sometimes life asks us questions on the other side of a bad jump, a bad fight, a bad accident. And we always have to answer hard questions well, whether we ask them of ourselves, whether other people ask us, or whether life asks us. What a gift you give people, these answers to the hardest questions of where am I? Who am I? Am I still in the fight? You know, I didn't do very much. You could swing a bat and find someone more accomplished than me in the war on terror, but I don't talk a lot about what I did over there because I just didn't do that much, and I think some of what we did over there needs to stay over there, but I'll tell you this mission to kind of prove a point and kind of tell you what We Defy does for people. I was one of the very first units overseas when 9/11 happened. When 9/11 happened, we were already overseas, so we pivoted right to the Middle East, and we were doing ship takedowns. It's called a MEO, a Maritime Interdiction Operation. We were hitting ships in the middle of the night. It was awesome. We were like American pirates. We're like, this is all legal, right? Like, we're good, you know? My guys had on eye patches. I'm like, that looks cool. Take them off. Both eyes open. I bought a parrot. It looked amazing. It flew away. I was pretty sad. But I had it. I felt like I was this American Blackbeard, and we got intel the ship was coming out of Iranian waters. So we stalked this ship through the middle of the night, and we hit it, and it was perfect. Like, we've all been a part of this. We've all experienced this, right? You know, we're in theater in high school, and we teleport the audience to where we want to be on stage. We're in band, we hit this note at halftime, and the teams come out to see what just happened. Or we get in this car that goes a certain speed, and you hit that speed, and you're like, that's what this was supposed to do. And that was that night. It was incredible. It was like, I was watching my guys, it was like watching waters flow downhill. It was just this beautiful demonstration of skill. And it wasn't just men. We had 2 female Marine Corps aviators flying dog bones around the ship, and our snipes were hanging out this door, giving us green lasers and red lasers, telling us where to go and where not to go. And it was just this beautiful demonstration of skill. And I was proud. I was really proud. And we stepped to the skin of the ship, and we're getting ready to disembark and go hit another ship. And I remember turning and looking at my chief, and I think everybody in this room really understands the military, but if you don't, let me help you understand the military. The enlisted is where in all but the aviation community, the enlisted is where all the talent, courage, creativity, and valor and initiative reside. The enlisted are what our enemies rightly fear. And if the enlisted are the backbone, the senior enlisted are the spinal cord, the guns, the senior chiefs, the master sergeants. My chief was amazing. My chief was about 6'3", 240 pounds. He played linebacker at Fresno State. He'd been a SEAL for 18 years. He'd actually put me through Hell Week. He was one of my Hell Week instructors. And I remember turning and looking at him and said, hey, Chief, the boys were excellent. We got to do something for it. I'll never forget it, and I live my life by this today. He turned and he looked at me and he was mad. And he leaned in and he said, hey, sir, the reward for excellence is no punishment. I'm not here to be excellent. I'm here to be elite. He stomped off. Hey, sir, the reward for excellence is no punishment. I'm not here to be excellent. I'm here to be elite. There's a difference. I'm not done yet. What my chief was telling me then is what you tell men and women every time you give them a scholarship. There's time on the clock. You're not done yet. We're going to remind you who you are. We're going to show you where to be. And by God, at the end of it, you know you will not be done yet. I love pictures and images. And they say that a picture tells 1,000 words. Well, humbly, let me offer to show you 1,000,000.
Start chasing those same highs and lows, and they can manifest themselves in all kinds of behaviors.
It was kind of like he was looking for outlets and he couldn't find an outlet for anything.
That's what it feels like to go from being lost to just being wrong. It's a whole different animal. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, but I will never be lost. My name is Clint Bruce, and I'm not done yet. Neither is he, neither are you. And thank God, neither is We Defy. Hold fast, stay true. We Defy, thank you for all you do.